Don't you just love it when your deck gets even better?
Aye. Subscribe.
Rota finally came out, bringing us some new Centurion support, and also King Calamity got banned since the last time we did this, so what do we do now? In this video, we're going to have our updated deck list alongside all of the different combos available with this new version of the list, and then if this video gets 1,000 likes, we'll make a more advanced kind of playing through hand traps, test hands kind of video as well. So hit that thumb, my guy. Alright, first things first, let's talk about the new addition to the deck. Primera Primus. She's a generic level 8 light tuner synchro with loads of good effects, the most important one being able to search Emblema Oath on summon. This means that any way to make a level 8 synchro now becomes a bridge into the Centurion engine. This deck shines when you're able to see access to both engines, and previously only having 7 ideal starters for the Centurion engine was a bit limiting. Now that we can bump that number up, we're in a much better spot. That is the only new release that's actually relevant to our build, so let's take a look at some of the new combos involved this card, and then we'll move on to the deck list. Alright, let me introduce you to our little mini synchro engine of choice when it comes to summoning Primera Primus. So Ascator Dawnwalker actually came in the Crimson King structure deck as a common, so chances are you probably already have this, you don't need to go buy it or anything. This is a strong Centurion combo on its own, but it also intertwines with the rest of our deck almost perfectly. So we are going to start just by showing you the one card Ascator Dawnwalker combo. It's worth noting that quite a few of these combos can be improved by adding a card like Synchro Rumble into your deck. Quite a few cards do become playable with the new options we have available, but adding more bricks to the deck I don't think is worth it. I don't know, we'll talk about it a bit more in the deck profile, but yeah, we're not playing Synchro Rumble, so keep that in mind for some of these combos. But yeah, starting off with just the Ascator Dawnwalker, this is going to be 1 discard. So activating the effect, we can discard a card. It doesn't specifically have to go to the graveyard, so this works under Shifter as well. Special summoning the Dawnwalker and an Ant from the deck. We can then synchro these two into the new Miss PP, Centurion Primera Primus. On summon, she is going to grab a copy of Emblema Oath. We'll activate Emblema Oath to place a monster. We are going to place a Trudea here. Trudea is going to summon herself as a level 4. Then we'll activate her effect on field to place herself and Centurion Gargoyle. We will summon Gargoyle here as a level 4 and then synchro with the Primera Primus into Oxala, Chainlink 1 Oxala, and Chainlink 2 Gargoyle to come back to hand. Off the Gargoyle, we're going to add a copy of Primera. If we're just going through Ascator as a 1-card combo, then we likely have no other engine pieces that we can normal summon or anything, so we're just going to add the Primera and a normal summon Primera here. Primera effect is going to grab a copy of Stand Up Centurion. We're going to activate the field spell, and we're going to activate Gargoyle, putting the Trudea in graveyard to special summon itself. Synchroing Primera and the Gargoyle into Legatia. We're going to get a free draw, so that gives us potentially like 4 hand traps in hand. And then of course we would move to the end phase where both of our Centurion monsters we trigger, placing back the Gargoyle and the Primera to play on our opponent's turn. Of course, we all know the way this goes. On our opponent's turn during their main phase, we're going to summon Gargoyle as a level 8 and Primera. Chainlink 1 Primera, Chainlink 2 stand up. We can synchro these two into, of course, the Crimson Dragon. Primera would get a search for another field spell. Gargoyle would come to hand as well, and then Crimson Dragon could target one of our 12s to bounce into the Cosmic Blazar Dragon. So we have a lot of follow-up. Just the one actual interruption from our combo there, but literally 4 other cards in hand, and we are playing a lot of hand traps, so it's very likely that we have some hand traps here. And that can just be enough. So that was pretty good, right? However, it does also blend really nicely with most of our Resonator cards, and the combo kind of varies depending on which Resonator starter you're seeing. This combo, we're going to do Ascator plus Vision. So Ascator discarding Vision to special summon itself, and an Ant from the deck is going to trigger Vision to grab a Crimson Gaia. And then once again, we're going to synchro summon into Miss PP, who is on summon, going to grab us an Emblema Oath. We'll fire off the Emblema Oath, going into a Trudea. Trudea effect to summon as a level 4. Trudea effect to place itself and Gargoyle, and a Gargoyle effect to summon as a level 4. I'm going to synchro these two into our Centurion Oxala. Chainlink 1 Oxala, Chainlink 2 Gargoyle coming back to hand. Of course, with Oxala, this time we are going to search for a copy of Stand Up. We'll activate that Stand Up and discard one of our cards in hand to place a copy of Primera from the deck. Activate the effect of Primera to summon, and the effect of Primera to search. It's going to be another field spell. And then we'll activate the effect of Gargoyle in hand, sending the Trudea to grave to special summon itself And we have, of course, our 8 and our 4 on the field, into the Crimson Dragon, into the Cosmic Blazar. And now the remainder of our turn is essentially insulated from any kind of interruption, so we don't have to worry about like Nibiru or anything, or if they did have Nibiru, they would have to Nibiru on the Crimson Dragon effect, and then we can just play our Red Dragon Archfiend cards. So we are just going to activate the Crimson Gaia here and activate the effect adding a Soul Resonator. Normal summon the Soul because we haven't used our normal summon yet. Soul's effect on summon is going to grab us a Boner from the deck, and then we can activate the Boner, just sending the additional field spell to the grave to summon itself. This is what I mean by all the redundant searches. Like, we grab another copy of Stand Up of Primera to just send it to the grave for Bone Archfiend. Instead, this could have been like a Phalanx for an additional end piece on the board, but it is another brick in the deck, you know? Continuing with the combo though, we're gonna go Bone effect, target Soul. We're gonna dump a UV loop and reduce Soul's level to 2. So we have a 4 and a 2 here, and we have a lot of options. Like, we could easily just go Red Rising Dragon, not activate the effect, and then set up a very well protected Chaos Angel on our opponent's turn. But going further with the combo here, we're going to activate UV Loop's effect in Grave, targeting the PP to banish and add itself to hand. Then we'll activate the UV Loop effect in hand, targeting the Oxala to banish and special summon itself to the field. Now, UV Loop and Bone can synchro into the Scarred. Scarred plus the level 2 Soul can synchro into the Dispatter, which is going to trigger the Scarred to summon our Red Dragon Archfiend. And then Dispatter can summon back the Oxala, getting us to our end phase, where Oxala can bring back the Primera, which will then be able to synchro with our Red Dragon Archfiend. Obviously, in the end phase, it's going to try and blow up our board. We can protect our board with the Soul Resonator, so Dispatter is like live ×2 here. And then on our opponent's turn, of course, during our main phase, Primera effect to summon, we can grab that third field spot from the deck and synchro into the Crimson Dragon, and of course, into the Red Supernova Dragon. Banish our opponent's cards, making the Dispatter negate live, and we have our 2 additional cards in hand here, of course. All right, next combo, we have Ascator plus Boner. We love free discards, baby. So we're gonna activate Ascator, discarding Bone. This combo is interesting because it presents us with a lot more options. You can have like a brain dead end board, and you can have like a complicated sequenced end board. But yeah, Ascator summoning out the Ant, of course. We're gonna synchro these 2 into PP. PP effect is going to add the Oath. We're going to activate the Oath, placing Trudea. Trudea effect to summon as a level 4. Trudea effect to place Gargoyle. Gargoyle effect to summon as a level 4. And synchro into Oxala. Chain 1 Oxala, chain 2 Gargoyle as always. Oxala will add a stand-up. We'll activate the stand-up and discard a card to place Primera. Primera effect to summon. Primera effect to search. The second stand-up here. Then we are going to summon the Gargoyle by sending Trudea, synchro these 2 into our Crimson Dragon, and of course Crimson Dragon target the Oxala, gets us out our Cosmic Blazar. From here, remember how I said the combo differs depending on the Red Dragon Archfiend starter you're using? Here's a good example of that. So Bone, we're going to send the stand up from hand to grave to special summon itself, then we're going to go effect target itself, dumping Vision, increasing its level to 5. Of course, this will trigger Vision, grabbing us a Crimson Gaia, and we can activate that Crimson Gaia and the effect to add a copy of Soul Resonator. Still have it normal summoned, so we'll normal summon Soul, activate the effect, adding a Synchron, and then synchro our 5 and our 3 into Scarred Dragon Archfiend here. We can then special summon our Synchron and synchro into Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, baby. Chainlink 1 Scarred to summon our Red Dragon Archfiend, Chainlink 2 Synchron, targeting the Vision to add back to our hand. And if you wanted to, you could just go end phase here. Oxala would place Primera, and then we would have our Abyss negate, our Cosmic Blazar negate, and then with the Primera and the Red Dragon Archfiend, we can make another Crimson Dragon, giving us access to Trishula or Supernova. However, if we want to sequence our end board in a very interesting way, I'm unsure if it's actually better or not, because you're then kind of limited to the way you can interact with your opponent, but we could, in theory, special summon Vision and synchro with Red Dragon Archfiend into Dispatter, go end phase here, where we'll place a Primera and pass turn. Of course, the Dispatter isn't live, and we have nothing to synchro with the Primera, but that will change because we could negate the effect of a monster on field and destroy it with Cosmic Blazar by banishing it for cost, which would trigger Gaia to bring back Red Dragon Archfiend to then synchro with the Primera, or we could just negate something with the Blazar. Then we can destroy a monster on field with the Dispatter by shuffling back the Cosmic Blazar, which would then trigger Gaia to summon out Red Dragon Archfiend. We can summon the Primera, search another field spell, and synchro again into the Crimson Dragon. Crimson Dragon could target Oxala here, and then summon back out the Cosmic Blazar. You know, there's so many options for this end board. It's fun to kind of like play around and figure it out. All right, and then the final combo we have here is Ascator plus Soul. Unfortunately, no free discard in this hand, but we do once again start off with the Ascator, sending one of our cards to the graveyard. And yeah, we've seen this combo a million times now. We summon the An, we synchro into the PP effect, add Oath, activate Oath, places Trudea. Trudea effect to summon as a 4, Trudea effect to place itself in Gargoyle, Gargoyle effect to summon as a 4, and synchro into Oxala, chain 1 Oxala, chain 2 Gargoyle to come back. We grab a copy of Stand Up, we'll activate Stand Up and discard a second card from our hand here, placing Primera from the deck, Primera effect to summon, Primera effect to search another copy of Stand Up. We'll then activate the effect of Gargoyle, sending Trudea once again here, and synchro with the Primera into Crimson Dragon, effect target Oxala. That's going to get out the Cosmic Blazar. And now we normal summon Soul. Once again, we're going to activate the effect to add Bone here. We'll activate the effect of Bone, sending Stand Up to grave to special summon itself. And this time, Bone is going to target Soul, dumping Vision to increase its level to 4, which will trigger Vision, grabbing us a copy of Crimson Gaia. We'll synchro 4+4 into Scards, activate Crimson Gaia, and finally activate the effect to see Red Zone for the first time today. And we can set Red Zone, proceed to the end phase, where Oxala is going to place our Primera and pass turn here. So with this combo, we only have one card in hand. However, we're finally getting access to Red Zone. So on our opponent's turn, of course, during the main phase, Primera can summon itself and grab another copy of the field spell, of course. Synchro with the Scards into the Crimson Dragon, which will trigger the Scards, summoning out Red Dragon Archfiend, which makes the pop on Red Zone live. And then because we have Red Zone, we get even more value out of the Crimson Dragon going into the Red Supernova Dragon, because we can activate the effect and then use Red Zone to bring it back and activate it again. So therefore we have the Cosmic Blazar negate, Red Supernova again, thanks to the Red Zone, and then the pop on Red Zone with a Red Dragon Archfiend as well. So it's literally a different end board depending on the Red Dragon Archfiend starter you see alongside Ascator. Most of the combo is pretty much the same, so it's not like you're having to memorize so many different lines. But yeah, I guess it can be a little confusing. So yeah, that is all of the basic new Ascator, Dawnwalker, and Primera Primus combos. Let's move on to the deck profile. All right, let's get into the list complete with current side deck, although obviously non-engine and things like that kind of adapt with the format, so you don't have to follow those religiously. This is a 48 card list. We were originally playing 42, but with the addition of 3 new Centurion starters, we were able to bump those numbers up to kind of help drown out the bricks a little bit as well. So yeah, let's just get into it. Starting off with our Centurion engine, we have our 3 Emblema Oath and 3 Ascator Dawnwalker. These are our starters that allow us to play through Shifter. So if we get Shifted and we see any of these, we're absolutely fine. Absolutely fine, maybe a little bit optimistic. But yeah, we can still do things under Shifter with these cards. Of course, we have our 3 Stand-Up Centurion and 1 Terraforming for 10 decent starters total. We have our Trudea and our Primera for 2 like semi-starters. They're not like bricks, but ideally you don't want to see them in hand. And then we have our Ant and Gargoyle for the 2, I guess, hard bricks, you could say, out of the entire Centurion engine. Moving on to the Red Dragon Archfiend and Resonator package, we have 3 Soul Resonator. I have been messing around with some of the ratios, but I think 3 Soul is always going to be key because it's the best starter into Droll and Lockbird. If you have to search for Soul, then Droll absolutely kills your turn. Droll is obviously still at 3, still legal. We have 3 Bone Archfiend. Of course, we're maxing out on Boner. If Soul gets interrupted, we want to have Bone in hand just to continue playing as if our opponent hand looped themselves for 1. We're on 2 Stone Sweeper, 2 Crimson Gaia, 2 Vision Resonator, Foolish, and we are playing a Prosperity. I was going to play a 3rd Stone Sweeper to help with Bestials. However, I felt like the issue of having too many RDA starters was still a thing. Prosperity has a lot of decent applications. It makes Dispatter live. It can potentially get you into either of your 2 engines here. If you're going first, you can dig for something like Crossout for Fruilos. You know, it's a very, very good card, and you can pay 6, especially going second, but we will probably just be paying 3 usually because, you know, it's comfortable. And then we have Red Zone, Crimson Resonator, UV Loop, and Synchron Resonator as our 4 bricks. So in total, we have the 4 here plus the 2 here for 6 bricks. If we were to add things like Phalanx, Wake Up Centurion, Synchro Rumble, we're increasing the number of bricks in the deck. And at that point, even though these cards do have some very nice situational applications and they will come up, it's still a detriment to the deck because the benefit of adding 3 starters is outweighed by the con of having more than 1 brick added to the deck. You know what I mean? We want to minimize the bricks as much as possible. If we don't absolutely need them, we don't want to play them. And then for the non-engine, we have Triple Ash, Triple Imperm, Triple Veiler, Triple Droll. I was playing Fuwalos in the main deck, but that card is just not a main deck card, man. I was running with the theory that if we go first, we can discard it, but there are situations where, like, your plan is to normal summon Soul, add Bone, Bone discard Fuwalos, but if your Soul gets impermed, and you're stuck with a dead Fuwalos in hand, it really feels bad, man. So I replaced it with Droll in the main deck, and then we side out Droll and side in the Fuwalos, of course, going second. Yeah, we're also on 2 Ogre and 1 Druis Worm, 1 Magnamut for 2 Bestials. A total of 16 hand traps in a 48 card list. Like I said, this non-engine is 100% not set in stone. You can probably increase your Bestial count, maybe even play like a Luvalian or 2 potentially. But yeah, I do feel like hand traps are always kind of the best thing to play at the start of a new format, and then as the format gradually gets solved, your non-engine becomes a lot more focused. You can start playing board breakers and things like that. Moving on to the extra deck, I feel like the extra deck is pretty much solved now. There's not a whole lot of leeway available, so we have the Red Rising Dragon, the Quibelt, the Blade Dragon. You do still want to play this. We have the Scarlight, Scarred, Red Dragon Archfiend, Abyss, and Dispater, and then we have the Centurion, Primera Primus, Oxala, Legatia, Crimson Dragon, Cosmic Blazar, Trish, Supernova, and Chaos Angel. None of these are really cuttable, to be honest. Also, there are situations where you'll be going into Scarlight with the Ascator Dawnwalker. So yeah, extra deck is pretty much 100% solved. And then the side deck I'm currently running is almost kind of like the Maxi package, you know? So we've got 3 Crossout for going first alongside 1 Called by the Grave, because while we can play through Fuwalos decently with the Centurion cards, sometimes we're not going to see the Centurion cards and the Fuwalos is actually going to stop us. So playing the 3 Crossout there is quite nice. We got the 3 Cosmic Cyclone and the Feather Duster. I am playing the 3 copies of Fuwalos. I pulled 5 from 1 case of Rota. You'll see that in the next episode of Treasure Hunters, but yeah, so we got a playset for ourselves, happily. We're playing 1 Nibiru, 1 Talent, and 1 Droplet. I feel like Droplet is pretty much the biggest threat against some of the boards now with the Primera Primus combos. So Crossout for Droplet is decent. Also, these cards are just good to have in your deck as well anyway. Going first and second, actually. So going second, there are 3 bricks that we side out, and we obviously need to side out the Droll as well if we're siding in Fuwalos. So we have 3 and 3 right here. Easy side patterns. And then final card is Wild Wind. Still playing this for shifter decks. He's just a good boy, man. But yeah, that is the current version of the deck list. We're cooking, man. We're cooking. All right, finally, I thought it would be worthwhile to just include the bread and butter 1 card Soul combo in the video as well, just for those that aren't too familiar with the build already. So this is going to be Soul plus 2 discards in total, and you are just going to start with a normal summon Soul, activating the effect of Soul to add a Bone Archfiend, activating the effect of Bone Archfiend in hand, sending a card to the graveyard to special summon itself. We'll go effect, target Soul, dumping the Crimson Resonator to reduce its level to 2. Then we'll synchro these 2 into the Red Rising Dragon, who's gonna target the Crimson Resonator on summon to bring it back. And now Crimson Resonator is gonna summon 2 more Resonators from the deck. So we're gonna grab a Vision and a Synchron here. Synchro the Vision with the Red Rising into Scarred, which will trigger the Vision to add a spell or trap. So that's gonna be Crimson Gaia in her hand. We'll then go Scarred plus Synchron into the Abyss here, which is going to give us a little chain link 1 Scarred, chain link 2 Synchron, targeting the Vision Resonator to add it back to our hand. And of course, Scarred is going to summon out Red Dragon Archfiend. We can then synchro Crimson with the Red Dragon Archfiend into Dispater, but obviously the Dispater isn't live, so we're going to extend even further by special summoning the Vision to the field here, and then synchroing with the Dispater into our Centurion Oxala, who's going to grab us a copy of Stand Up Centurion to the hand here. We'll activate Stand Up and just discard any cards to place Trudea. Trudea effect to summon, Trudea effect to place itself and Primera, and then finally we'll go Crimson Gaia and Crimson Gaia effect to add a red zone here, set the red zone, and that's it. That's the 1-card combo. So essentially we have the Abyss Negate. We're able to dodge things like Dark Ruler and Droplet with the set red zone. And with the Centurion cards on our opponent's turn, we have many options. Obviously we're going to summon the Primera and the Trudea. Trudea is going to be level 8, so we can make a 12. But we can go Crimson Dragon into Red Supernova, Trish, or Cosmic Blazar. Red Supernova would probably give us the most value because we can summon it back with Red Zone, giving us access to double Supernova. But sometimes Trish or the additional Negate and Blazar is just better. But also we could just make Legatia, draw a card, pop an opponent's monster, trigger Gaia to bring back a Scarred or Red Dragon Archfiend, making the pop on Red Zone live as well. And of course, not to mention the 2 other cards that we would have in our hand, most likely hand traps, and then off the Legatia, you could probably like draw a hand trap as well. Like I said, we will make a video going through different hand interruptions and test hands if you do want to see that. Of course, got 1,000 likes on this video. But for now, that's gonna wrap it up. Bye bye.